What's going on, my friends? How you doing today? Good afternoon, good evening, good maybe morning, good middle of the night. How we doing today? How are you all? How are we feeling? Good, hopefully. Bad, probably. Any better than yesterday? Never get a chance to rest with United, do you? Never get a chance to say, all right, we were shit. We played a bad game. Let's see what the week brings and roll on the next game. No. It's gotta be some new type of drama, some new type of situation, some new type of problem every single day. Something, man. Something always. It's just amazing. So yes, we're going to talk about Kobbie Mainoo again and again and again to make clear what is actually going on, because to me it's ridiculous. I'm sort of tired of fans being farmed by this stuff, you know? It's so often and it's playing into people so deeply and so regularly and so obviously that there's not much you can do about it. It's like, I just wish people were recognizing what was really going on. And I've spent years trying to tell people how these games are played and how this happens, and to get people to try to relax. But it goes crazy. It goes crazy. Now, of course, too much attention, because United are the biggest show in town, right? United are the biggest show in town. It's not just the journalists, mind you. It's just the modern way of how football works. Let's say, for example, just to start things off with a little bit of an example, okay? Let's say, for example, tomorrow, Eduardo Camavinga's representative comes to me. Okay, I probably shouldn't use that example, actually. Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. He changed agents, so it used to be the same one. But Eduardo Camavinga comes to me. His agent comes to me and says, James. Yeah, Camavinga's a little unsettled about his new position at Real Madrid under Xabi Alonso. He's a little unsettled. He's just not sure about his plays. He's not sure, you know. I mean, he used to be really important for Ancelotti. Really liked Ancelotti, but he's just not sure about his position totally. It's been a little tough, and you know, I mean, it's just been a little tough. What would I want to do as a journalist? What do I get paid for in that case? And what would that person's motivation be to come to talk to me about it? What do you think? Right? I'd probably sit there and go, time for a new video. Camavinga considering leaving Real Madrid. Why? Because, one, it would be my job to report something on that. Why wouldn't it be? I don't even have to run it by the club. It's not the club's story, is it? It's a story about a player. It's a story about a player and his agent. I haven't even gotten any information about how Madrid feel about it. I've not gotten any information about Madrid's wanting to sell him. I haven't got anything. I don't even have to run it by the club. I don't even have to talk to the club. I could just run that story. I've got all the sources I need to back it up. I know what to do. And why would the agent want that story to be run? Well, you might want it just unknown, just float out there in the universe a little bit. Camavinga wants to play football. Camavinga maybe has a little bit of a worry. His client has maybe a little bit of worry. Is he going to be an important part of this new Real Madrid? Of course, he's got to look out for his career. That's his job. That's football. That's reporting. That's media. That's agents. That's how it works. That's what happens. Now, personally, I think a line has been crossed. Not by Kobbie Mainoo. Not at all. I think a line has been crossed to a degree because I think that there's a lack of respect from the agent on this, because I think he knows what he's doing. And personally, I think that playing a game to try and stir up the fans against the manager and against the club is not one that I like. I think there's better ways to do it. But, and this is probably, again, why these agents don't talk to me. If they want to, you can always send me a message. I'm always open to have a conversation about this, and we can debate it. For me, certain agents do this a lot, and they have their preferred people to talk to about it as well. And they have their preferred people to look at. I mean, here's the funny part about it. Here's the ironic part about the whole thing. Prior to January, I told you that Garnacho wanted to go, that he wanted to leave, that he wanted to get out of Manchester United. And the agents were quiet, didn't brief anybody, didn't say anything, right? Kind of almost the opposite, because they felt it was in their best interest at that time to keep his options very, very open, play things close to the chest, and not get anybody to doubt his loyalty to Manchester United, because that was when, of course, I think most people would have agreed that we, would not have taken his side if someone says they won out of United. Ruben Amorim was only a month and a half into the job. United were trying to kind of in that phase of turning it around. Now, the mood is such that saying you're worried and you might want to leave United because we're losing, it's the right time from an agent perspective. They're reading the room very well here. It's the right time for an agent to say, my client might be considering his time there because he's not getting minutes. Is his agency acting alone or with his blessing? It doesn't really matter. I think agents just do their jobs, and the stories that go out to media, it's not a big deal. I'm not saying they're not even true, you know what I mean? But it's like, I never try to blame the player for what the agent is doing too much, okay? Like, too much at all. Because it can get really messy in that case, and agents do their job. I mean, look, Bruno's agent has been meeting with Saudi half of the summer and other clubs, and met with Barcelona and Bayern and all these clubs in previous to look at it. And nobody sits there and says, well, Bruno's not committed to United. I mean, maybe he's not, but nobody says that. Nobody's blaming Bruno's agent for having those discussions with all of these clubs. Nobody was calling for Bruno's head, for staying, right? So it's just the right time, because there's a very strong undercurrent of Amorim out from a lot of people, some who've been Amorim out since the Marcus Rashford situation for different reasons, some who just don't like him, some because we're not winning games right now, and that's pretty much it. And there's a lot of it. When we're not winning games, it's a very easy time to do it. If we won against Fulham, this story wouldn't have come out. It didn't come out last week, not like this. Because it was a really good performance, and because everybody was pretty positive on the performance. There was people saying, oh, Kobbie should have played. Why didn't Kobbie get selected? Why didn't Kobbie play? But the performance was good, and the mood was very happy. So it was like not the right time to talk about a player wanting to leave. Not the right time to try to pit Kobbie against the manager. Because if you asked last week, people wouldn't have said. If you asked last week, people wouldn't have reacted this way, because they were feeling very positive about the performance. Funnily enough, we earned a point this week, and the reaction is a lot worse. I understand why. by the way. I understand why. But that's what goes on. That's what goes on. And, and it's like, I don't like that that certain agents use the timing to pit things against, the manager, to pit fans against, and to set up these things and all of that. Do I want Cobby sold at all? Absolutely not. But you're falling for a massive, 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 massive trap. A massive trap. If you're sitting there going, if it's Cobby or Amorim, I'm backing Cobby, Amorim out. What the fuck? You've been tricked. You've been fooled. You've been manipulated. You've been bamboozled. You've been led astray. You have. I'm sorry, but you have. Okay? You've done that. You have done that. You have been. You've been manipulated. You've been pushed. Or you were waiting to say that anyway, and it's just giving you an excuse to say that. I'm not going to move on. I'm going to keep talking about the thing that I want to talk about. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. Hoodwinked, led astray, exactly. Don't let that happen to you. Don't. It has nothing to do with that. Okay? It isn't like that. It isn't one versus the other. And it has nothing to do with it. You're even getting into trying to make it about that has nothing to do with it. Even all of that has nothing to do with it. This landmine was obvious. Why did Ruben step on it? Well, yeah, I was thinking about the other day, and then I'll say one more thing about this that makes it really, really obvious. Because the thing that's really stupid is like, if you're sitting thinking that in the middle of a game, at a point where United are trying to win, and you think the manager is trying to send a message, then you're not gathering it correctly, okay? You're not gathering correctly the situation. Amorim isn't sitting there thinking, oh, there's going to be stories tomorrow if I don't play Cobby Mainoo today in the middle of a game. He's trying to win the game and getting it wrong. He's trying to win the game. But for what it's worth, you can sit there and go, same win percentage is fine, okay, he's not won games. Cobby Mainoo started 15 out of 18 games last season, and we had that win percentage as well. So it's not that simple. And that's why pitting one against the other isn't the answer here. Because when you bring up the win percentage, Cobby Mainoo started 15 games. Do you know how many he won in those starts? Do you want to bring it up? Should we bring it up? Do you want to look at the stats? Because you're getting, again, you're thin. When you bring that up, you are making a thinly veiled attempt. A thinly veiled attempt at putting it one against the other. A thinly veiled attempt against it by saying win percentage versus Cobby Mainoo. Cobby Mainoo doesn't mean we win games. Cobby Mainoo doesn't mean we win games automatically. We had no forwards last season, though. Exactly. So don't bring up the win percentage and then justify the losses when somebody else... You see what? You can't fix those two things together. You can't put those things together. All right. I had about enough of you. You can't say 24% win percentage and then say, well, but we didn't win when Cobby was playing because we didn't have forwards. Well, that's why we had a 24% win percentage, because we didn't have forwards. That's the answer. That's the gaslighting. You can't just use the excuse on one end than the other. You can't. Unfortunately, you cannot. You just can't. That's not how it works. They're not being pit against each other. There's nobody pitting anybody against each other. We don't win games. We haven't won games. And people are trying to make it, if you picked Cobby, suddenly would win games. Well, actually, I think we would this season, to be quite honest. I actually think, like, yesterday or Sunday, if we played Cobby Mainoo instead of Bruno, we would probably have won that game. No, the one constant is not the manager, actually. There's a bunch of constants. We've turned over 3 players in the squad. There's an entire squad. There's an entire team. There's 10 years. Whose fault is that? The last 10 years of mismanagement. Have you not been paying attention? When's the last time we won a Premier League? 2013. It's been 12 years. It's been 12 years. We're not going to suddenly win a Premier League or not win a Premier League because of one player decision. Okay? We're not. That's not how it works. The reason we're not successful isn't one player, one manager, one idea, one thing that you want it to be. It's a lot of things all together. The constant is that United have been bad for 10 years and need to be fixed. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of reasons for that. Making it Cobby versus Amorim is the same Messiah bullshit that people have been running for so long, that one player, one thing is going to solve all of our problems when it's a process, okay? When it's a long-term process. And Cobby should be a part of that for the future. And he should be a part of that for the future and will hopefully be a part of that for the future. And there's a plan to be a part of that for the future. That's the reality of it. Can I just see back-to-back Premier League wins? I hope so. I hope so. I certainly hope so. I absolutely hope so. Now let's talk about the manager and the 11 players that also cannot win back-to-back games. Because you can put it on one person. You can put it on one person. But it's not. It's not. That's the only difference. That's the issue with a lot of this bullshit in the opinions. You want me to put it all on Ruben Amorim. I'm never going to do that. It's never on one person. There's a lot of things that went wrong. On Sunday, there's a lot of things that went wrong. Ruben Amorim and his selections, Bruno and his disaster performance, Casemiro being crap. Why are they even at the club? Because of 10 years of crap, because of how poorly things have been built for such a long time. It is a lot of things together that result in this situation that get here. Message he sent is he won't sub Bruno when he should, and he said Cobby rotates with Bruno. That's a bad message. That's a bad message. That's a terrible message. He got that wrong. He got that very wrong. But Cunha also missed a chance. Cunha also hit the post. Bruno also missed a penalty. There's about 18 things that happened in that game. If you watch a tactics video from this morning and you can't recognize what happened in that game, that's on you. If you don't want to recognize it and you just want someone to agree with you, it's not me. And that's not most of you, I don't think. That's not most of you. I don't believe that. But there's a lot of people that are like that. They want to make a decision and then they want everybody to agree with them. But that's not true. I'm never going to lie. I'm never going to tell you I believe something that I don't. And I'm never going to go back. I'm never going to do that. Ruben Amorim has to start making better decisions. I criticized him during, after, and 3 videos since then over the decisions he made on Sunday. The only people who have a refusal to accept are the people that continuously keep saying, hey, you're blindly backing this and that. No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's the opposite. If you can't look at what the entire thing is going on, then you won't get it right. You put it all in Ten Hag then. Now we can't put it on it. How long was Ten Hag here and how much money did he spend? 3 years. 700 million pounds. 3 years. And 700 million pounds. And the majority of the fan base wanted to keep him. So don't give me that bullshit. Don't give me that bullshit. After 2 years and 700 million pounds spent, we had an awful team that was worse than ever, and the majority of the fan base wanted him to stay. Hypocrite. Hypocrite. Come on. hypocrite. That is gaslighting. That's gaslighting. That's manipulation. That's bullshit. When you do that, when you try to compare those situations. 2 years, man. 2 years. He started off his first season after his first summer losing 4-0 and losing another game. And he got his players had a 3-month purple patch. And then we got worse and we lost 7-0 to Liverpool. Cool, great. Congratulations, guys. We got worse than we got under Solskjaer. But you can walk away with those 2 trophies while we were getting worse and worse and worse and worse every year. Congrats, if that's what you want. We got set back by 5 years from the spending and shit. You complain about Casemiro on the pitch? Who bought him? You complain about Hojlund? Who bought him? You complain about Antony still here? Who bought him? You complain about Eriksen? Who bought him? He's not even here. We have to replace him. Everything you're complaining about, we have to fix. Everything. So yeah, congrats. You want Ten Hag back? Good. Why don't you go look at Kobbie Mainoo, what happened to him under Ten Hag? Onana? Who bought him? Bayindir? Who bought him? Mason Mount has made it longer under Ruben Amorim than Ten Hag. After spending £60 million, he couldn't even get him on the pitch for 2 fucking games. And he's looked better under Ruben Amorim than he has under the guy who bought him. He killed us. He absolutely killed us. He set this team back so much that we've had to basically redo the entire thing and burn it all down. And we would have lost Ahmad too. And he was going to go. And you can look at it and say, hey, no, at least Kobbie Mainoo was playing. Was he? Was he? Yeah. I remember. Played Mazraoui as a 10. Wonderful. I remember what happened with Kobbie. If you think just getting on the pitch is enough, well, fair enough. If you think Kobbie was developing under Ten Hag into the player he should be, good for you, man. Good for you. That's insane. He was playing in a super defensive role, running around, getting injured every single game. He made it 7 games and got another hamstring injury. Do you not remember? Every single player was getting injured and was getting their career ruined. And that's what we've been trying to work back from. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Thanks very much. Thanks for the nice words. Thank you. And regardless of that, Amorim still has to win games. But it's been 10 months, and he's had 1 window, and he's had 2 games. And you know what? We have the same amount of points as Aston Villa and Newcastle and a few other clubs, and we have time to turn it around. And hopefully we will. If we don't, then Amorim won't be here. I already told you what my standards for Ruben Amorim were this year. I'm very clear and consistent in the way that I think. If Ruben Amorim doesn't get us Europe this season, then he'll go. It's that simple. There's a clear, measurable standard to judge by. And it's not after 2 games into the season. I love what I saw in Ten Hag's first 30. You did. Okay, good for you. I also loved losing 7-0 to Liverpool. I also loved losing 4-0 in the first game of the season. I also loved our only good section of the game, of those first 30 games, being when Rashford was in a purple patch and then kicking him out of position for him. I loved that too. That was great. Now, why couldn't he continue it? Why did it get worse the longer it went on? That's the funny part. You want to know the truth about it? That's the funny part. This is the funny part about all of this. The early games under a manager are the worst games to judge a manager by. You know that, right? If a team gets worse the longer a manager is there, that's a bigger reflection on the manager than the initial run. their first few months have very little to do with the manager and a lot to do with the players because they don't have time to actually put it into place. They don't have even time to fully imprint their identity. The more time Ten Hag got after he had one full season to see how the team was and build that team in his second summer, then we got worse. The more he bought and the more time he had, we got worse and worse and worse. Postecoglou looked good in the beginning, and he was a disaster. Solskjaer came in after Jose left, won like 6 games in a row or something like that. Does that make him the greatest manager? No. He did improve over time, and then it got worse and worse and worse and worse, and then he got sacked. Amorim started bad, and it's still bad. It's still very early. Stockholm Syndrome-like delusion going on. Yeah, that's true. It's 2 games in to his first season. It's 2 games into his first season. But the same goes, yes, of course, for Ten Hag, for Oli, for all of them. We didn't buy players with a proper sequence of steps. Solskjaer won 7 straight games in the beginning, and by the end of the season, that 4-0 loss to Everton was one of the worst performances ever. Yes, it is very early. When you ask a manager to come in mid-season, it is early. It's 2 games into the season. When you ask a manager to come in mid-season, it's early. It is very early. It is quite early. This is the season, his first full season. United had midweek games the entire season last year. What people don't understand is they don't even have the concept of how a week works in time. Not even having a single summer. Yeah, last season, don't care about it. I don't give a shit. I've said that many, many times. You cannot agree. That's okay. It is his first season. Yep. Arsenal fans did this with Arteta. Yeah. He should be judged after, I would say, November, December. Yeah, I think by Christmas would be a good time to say, have we improved? Have we gotten better over the course of the season? Are we where we're supposed to be? That's when we should be judged in that respect. I'm in Defunct. Thank you for welcome to the Pro Muppet. Ten Hag turned out to be our version of Coleman De Boer, who also succeeded at Ajax but failed at top leagues. Levy turned him down in 2021 to manage Spurs, for sure. Yep. That is, of course, Ineos' view. It's also the view of every single club on earth who actually makes some sense. Because they told Ruben Amorim when he didn't want to join mid-season, they told him it's now or never. And they told him you have a free hit. This is the season to figure out who you like, who you don't like, get some concepts in there. The judgment last season wasn't actually to win games. It wasn't to come in and start winning games right away. That wasn't how he was brought in. Imagine Ten Hag joined 6. I can imagine. That's the thing about it. It's like, you don't know. I've been consistent on that from day one. And he said it himself. He was brought in now, last season, to figure out what to do, what not to do, who to keep, who not to keep. That's why at the start of summer we kicked out 5 players. And decided what to rebuild. Yeah. That's what he was brought in for. Figure out who's there, who's going to stay, who's not going to stay, essentially, and start to rebuild his team. That was the point. Come in, judge the players, measure the club, give us an idea of what we need to do, and allow us to prepare for one solid summer window, and then let's see what you can do after that. This season, if we're not in, I would say, the European places by Christmas, then I will think he's failing. If we're not in the European places by Christmas, I will think he's failing. Why bring Amorim in the first place when his style is unsuited to the squad? Because there was nobody. There's nobody who suits the squad. Yeah, there's absolutely no one who suits the squad. That's the problem. So they made a decision. We're going to start over. We're going to pick a way we want to play. We're going to appoint a manager that matches how we want to play, and we're going to rebuild the squad, tear it down, and start fresh from that. Now, in light of that, what do I think that, again, that he's getting wrong on this is of course something to do with the Casemiro and all of that kind of stuff. Casemiro, some other aspects, some things that he's definitely getting wrong. But you'll find all the people throwing insults today. You will find all the people throwing insults today where 6 months ago, 4 months ago, talking about how Casemiro was going to be great in 1 day a week and are now begging for Mainoo. For who then in there? For who then? I saw it. I know what people say. I know what people are begging for. I know where people are at. Just stand by your opinions and be consistent. That's all. And don't get into all of this stuff. Answer one question. Name one player that's improved under Amorim. Mount, Yoro, Ahmad. There's 3 off the top of my head. Thanks. You know, so it is what it is. You know, there's 3. It's very easy. Oh, now people want to drop Bruno. But when I suggested that last year, I remember how people responded. I remember how people responded. Delict. Yeah, Delict. There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, definitely Delict. Maguire as well. Yeah, that's a good one. Dorgu. Yeah, I think Dorgu's got better since he first arrived. Yeah. It's hard to say because he wasn't there before. Yeah, that's true. Onana? No, I would not say Onana. Yeah. I mean, it's almost a full 11. Xerxes improved under him. Yeah, quite a few people improved under him. Quite a few people are still improving. It's funny, most of the players who, like, one of the interesting things I would say about this is that the majority of the players who were brought in more recently got better under Ruben. And the players who got worse, mostly people who've been here longer. Right? But that's a good sign. The one thing I would say that is a real positive. Yeah, agreed, Jason. That tends to be the issue. Is people want to always micromanage, right? And know why the decisions are being made and feel that they know better. Always will, and that's totally fine. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think is a real positive is that most of the new players come in and do well. Since Ruben has come in, right? The new players have come in and done well, right? Dorgu's come in and done well. Cunha's come in and done well since coming in. We haven't seen enough of Šeško. I think Mbumo's been okay. The guys we signed last summer, almost all of them have improved under Amorim. So instead of new players coming in and turning to shit, for the most part, new players are coming in and getting better. I think that's a good thing. I think that represents a positive and a difference in what we've seen in the past. Just have to win games. Just have to win some games. I mean, end of the day, what else can you do but win football games? That's what's got to happen. But the reality is, just to put it all in context, it has nothing to do with Mainoo versus Ruben Amorim. And it very easily could be, you could ask for a different manager to come in, and the different manager could come in and say, well, I want a passer deep in my midfield, and we have Bruno, and they might make a different decision as well. You could have another manager come in, play a 4-2-3-1 again, stick Kobe deep next to somebody else and burn him out again. These things can happen. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know what's going to happen. I hated how Kobe was dealt with under Ten Hag, and I think he needs to play football now. I think he needs to play football now, for sure. And I think there's a real argument for him to be playing at the moment. But it's been 2 games. If the long-term plan, which it is and has been, is for Kobe Mainoo to replace Bruno Fernandes over time and become the main guy in that midfield and in that team, then growing into that role somewhat slowly over the course of this season, and then Bruno leaving next year isn't a bad thing. That's okay. The reality is, they're not trying to sell him, and they have a plan for him for the long term. And they have all summer, and they have before summer, and I've said that since the beginning. And that's United's, and that's Amorim's. Amorim said it with his own words. He said, I have big plans for Kobe Mainoo. I was literally in the room for that. It's been 2 games. It's been 2 games. And did he mess up in the second game? I covered it. And you can watch my tactical video this morning to break it down exactly what was wrong. If Bruno was playing well, here's the question. If Bruno was playing well and we won that Fulham game, would these same questions be being asked? Would the same panic be there? Of course not. The mistake that Ruben made is when Bruno wasn't playing well, that he didn't have the courage or whatever it may be to take him off of the pitch and put Kobe Mainoo on. That's what he got wrong. We can just take that as its own thing and leave it at that. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. And it doesn't have to mean that Kobe Mainoo's career at Manchester United is over. It doesn't have to mean that United don't care about the academy anymore. Like, these are crazy things being said, especially given that United have added like 7 players to the academy in the last 12 months. Especially given that they've brought in Aiden Heaven, who we were previously praising to say, hey, we brought in young players, promoted them right away, got them into the team, that now it seems to be an enemy, it seems to be used as a weapon against. Like, we don't have to do that, man. It's not that big. These are not, we don't need this. It's just unnecessary drama. It's unnecessary crap. We don't need those things to be made more of than they are. United just need to win football games. That's all. On Kobe Mainoo, what's gone on is this, and let's just, I'm just going to point out a single factor on this, on all these reports and things where you can figure out. Okay? Now, how many English reporters today said Kobe Mainoo has all these teams interested in him? Madrid, Real Madrid, Atletico, all of these places. How many? How many said that? Like 6, 7, something like that. It's a bunch of English reporters saying all these clubs are interested in Kobe Mainoo. Now, most of them are at the Daily Mail. Fine. It's just a paper. How many reporters from those clubs have reported their interest in Kobe Mainoo today? There's 10 interested in him. Some of them are named. How many reporters from those clubs have reported their interest in Kobe Mainoo today? 0. None. Real Madrid are interested, according to some, in England. I haven't heard from Real Madrid's journalists saying that they're interested in Kobe Mainoo, that they're trying to sign him today. This is an English player with an agent in England with connections to English media putting the name out about an English player playing for an English club to get his name out and in the talk and in the media. And it puts pressure on the club to say, we need to play him. It's all from that. It's all from that. It is what it is. It's people doing their job. It's people doing their job. It's just what happens. What does he want and what is wanted? One, there's a new contract, of course. They were all in talk about a new contract for months. He wants to play. But he's not expected to leave. They don't want to sell him. They want a new contract for him. So in that sense, it's pretty obvious. They want to keep Kobbie Mainoo. They wouldn't keep him. Look, if one thing has been made extremely clear this summer, all right? If one thing has been made extremely clear this summer is that if Ineos and Amorim don't want a player, you'll know it, right? Can you agree with that? Can anybody disagree with that? Haven't they made it abundantly clear when they don't want a player? Haven't they made it more than obvious when they want to sell somebody? Haven't they made it almost too obvious to where people have criticized it when they want a player gone and supposedly we're losing money because of how they've approached it? That's been a criticism that's been said all summer. We know. We know, man. We know who they don't want. We know who they don't want. We do. We know who they don't want. It's obvious. They've kicked him out. They're forcing them to go. Xerxes hasn't played. No one's saying that he's being sold. Heaven's gotten just a couple minutes. No one's saying he's being sold. Like, it's okay, man. They made it very, very clear. If they wanted to sell Kobbie, we would have known much earlier in summer, and it would have been obvious. We've had more genuine talk about Bruno leaving than we have Kobbie Mainoo leaving this summer, right? That's the truth. We have. We've had more of that than we've had about Kobbie leaving. So I don't think anything is in this like at all. I don't think anything is in this at all. I'm not particularly even worried about it. I think that what will happen at the end of it is Kobbie Mainoo will play football. He will play tomorrow. And a lot of things will get sorted out. You know, that's what I see going on. That's what will happen. And then he'll play more, and then he'll play more, and then he'll play more. And it'll be, in the end, fine. So, we'll see where we go from here. We'll see where we go from here. Imagine he's on the bench. Well, yeah. I won't agree with that decision either if he's on the bench. I mean, I can't predict the lineup, but maybe he will be. I don't think he will be. I think he'll play tomorrow. But, yeah, I wouldn't agree with that decision. I'm also not the manager. The biggest thing is that we have to win games. And I did say this before. If you don't win games, like I said before Arsenal, right? He picked a team that I didn't really like. I didn't really like not having Šeško on the pitch. I haven't liked that in both games. I'm not a fan of it, right? I don't like the Bruno Casemiro thing. I don't like different things that he's chosen. If it works, then it's good. If it doesn't work, then you open yourself up to looking at those things and saying, that might be where you're going wrong, and you open yourself up to criticism. So the fact is, at the end of it, everybody agrees we've got to start winning football games. We can go round and round on the reasons why that's happening for ages and have a million different opinions. But we have to win matches moving forward. That's all that matters. If it's what we like or don't like, then as long as we win, that's what matters. Do you genuinely think he'll drop or sub Bruno? I don't know. That's why I don't know if anybody has noticed. That's the kind of the ironic part about all of the weird ad hominem today. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I've been very negative and very concerned about Ruben. If you've watched the last 3 videos that I've done, that's the funny part. Like the idea that I haven't criticized Ruben or that I'm not concerned about what the manager is doing is crazy. It's nuts. You're just not paying attention. I've criticized him enormously over the last few days since that game, including in the whole tactics video this morning. But what I'm not going to do is make it a big thing about Ruben versus Mainoo and all that kind of bullshit, because that's just not it. That's just not it. I got major concerns. I hope he'll solve it, because I have pretty high standards for what we should win. I'm the one who said we should get top 4 this year. And I think that we can, with the right decisions from the manager. But I'm not going to criticize everything that isn't fair to criticize. I'm not going to go off on things that don't have any actual truth in them just to be a dick. That's not what I do. I'm not going to do the agendas on that. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. I'm going to look at what is real and drop the criticisms based on what I can see that is worth criticizing or that is worth pointing out. I'm not going to criticize things that aren't. I'm not going to criticize a manager for 2 games not picking one player. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I will if you don't win football matches like yesterday, or Sunday rather. You don't win, and I can see what you did wrong. Then I can talk about what you've done wrong there. So that's all. Do I think we'll get a midfielder? I don't think so. I don't think we will, unfortunately. I think we'll get Lammens. Oh, speaking of that, let's talk about that very briefly. On Lammens, we are obviously negotiating with a deal here. One of the things that happened is that after our approach to Antwerp over Lammens and getting into discussions on it, Galatasaray have essentially been kind of like bidding the price up. I think their hopes is that they can delay us, push the price up to a point where delay the deal, kind of mess it up. Because remember, the Turkish window's open longer. I think they're hoping to delay us until our window is done so that they can swoop in and get him after the deadline is over, because Turkey can buy afterwards, okay? So there's a little bit of a strategy at play here from Galatasaray. Now, the advantage that it is slowing things down. It is slowing things down a little bit. The advantage we have here is the same as on every other transfer that we've approached this summer, which is that Lammens wants to join United. That's what I've told you over the weekend. That's what's been reported and confirmed kind of on this today. Lammens wants to join United. He doesn't want to go to Galatasaray. He only wants United. So Antwerp are trying to leverage the situation a bit to get a little bit more. Far as I know, we're like 2 or 3 million off. It's really not a lot. It's like 2 or 3 million pounds off or something at this point in time. I think it'll get done very soon. I would expect, if it's not already, I believe there's talks today in person negotiating on that deal. So I would be surprised if this one isn't done soon. There was a lot of confidence in this deal getting done soon. I have a feeling it'll be maybe agreed today. Maybe we'll hear about it after the game or on Thursday. And then he'll arrive. Obviously, there's not a lot of time left in the window, so it's got to be soon. But I believe we'll have something pretty much wrapped up really shortly on this. There's a lot of confidence in this deal getting done, so I'm not really worried about it. It's an interesting one on Rasmus Hojlund because you get there's a lot, obviously, of talk and reports and things like that of it being nearly done to Napoli, and I think that's true. I think that there's nearing an agreement on this. But it is a little strange because when you do hear things maybe that are closer to from Rasmus's side or from that direction, you get a bit of insistence from him, from his side, that he really is intending still to stay at United. And I don't know what oh wow, every time I talked about Rasmus on here, Fabrizio tweets. Do you notice that? Napoli keep working on details to fix for Rasmus Hojlund deal with Man United and players camp. Optimism remains. Hojlund's exit terms are being discussed between the player side and Man United in order to proceed with Napoli move on loan with $45 million buy obligation. So exit terms between the player and Man United in order to proceed with Napoli move on loan with obligation for 45 million euros. That's a really good deal. So now it's between him and us. Is he asking for potentially some payout on this, essentially, from us or something like that? I don't totally get that update, but it sounds good. There are new details. Loan with obligation for 45 million euros is a good deal. That's good. That's about 40 million pounds. He may be saying he wants a little bit of a payoff from us. That's not that unusual. Sometimes there's a little difference between the wages on the two clubs. He's not on big wages, so I'm assuming it's small. But when a player's kind of pissed off about being pushed out of your club, then they tend to want every dollar that you're going to potentially owe them. So maybe there's a couple million or something like that in there. Well, that's good. I'm happy with that getting done. So yeah, I was just saying you do get this interesting kind of feedback that, he wants to stay, but at the same time, that deal is quite close between everybody on the whole Napoli thing, and there you have it. So it's kind of weird. It's a bit weird, the situation. To a small degree, I wonder. I read earlier a deal was done with Napoli needs to work. It sounds like that's what that is. He needs his compensation from United, which is not going to be a lot. So that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. So yeah, those are the main things. If we're going to do something after that, I don't know, my friends. I wish I could tell you that we were, but we're not close to anything on a midfielder as far as I can tell. I've not heard anything about any new approaches for a midfielder. Like I said, we've kind of spoken about like Wharton, but that seems fairly impossible. We've talked about Ederson. That one doesn't particularly make sense. Are we working on a secret midfielder? I don't know. Anthony news. There's a new offer from Anthony, for Anthony, that I don't know the details of it, but supposedly there's progress. Supposedly there's a strong belief that it'll get done, but some of it is still believed to be pressure from the Spanish side to try to, and Anthony to push a deal through. But I don't know on that front. Here's the thing. If we get a midfielder, who should it be? what position should it be? Who do you think? Like if reasonably, who's a midfielder we should get? Because one of the things that I do find semi-ironic, I have to say, going back to this Cobby situation, okay? We got linked to Stiller, and people like got all excited about it. If we signed Stiller, that would be another person in front of Cobby Mainoo. That's why I didn't understand why people were interested in that. We need a 6, yeah. We need a defender. We need somebody we need somebody else in there. Maybe we might have different ideas in terms of the profile of what they should be bringing to the table. But it certainly isn't Stiller. We need like a real ground coverer, basically, right? That's what I would say too, yeah. Did you watch the tactics video earlier? I covered this kind of yesterday. Someone to play in a pivot with Cobby. Yeah, I would agree. I covered this yesterday. Good night, Naveen. See you later. Just get Gallagher on loan. Kind of like that idea still. But if you watched yesterday's video, by the way, yeah. Play Cobby and Bruno. I don't think we should play Bruno in the midfield anymore. If you watched this video, not yesterday's, I kind of covered it yesterday, but I put it out this morning. One of the biggest problems, not one of, the biggest problem we had in this game was Bruno. And I don't think Bruno should play deep. One can say to me, well, he can't play deep. I'm not sure that that's true. He should be able to. I'm not going to say Bruno isn't good enough to play. He should be able to play deep. Some of the things he's being asked to do are the basics that he's not doing. But it's hard to know what we're going to do with this. I pulled up this from Cobby Mainoo, by the way, and looked at, all right, what is Cobby Mainoo good at? Dribbling. This I found interesting. Pre-assists. I like pre-assists as a stat. I know people don't, but I actually love pre-assists as a stat because pre-assists to me are something really missing. In hockey, you have assists, right? You have 2 passes get an assist in hockey, which is a similar sport, of course, to football at the end of the day. And I think one of the reasons for that, why I like pre-assists, is when you're talking about someone who's kind of a bit of an engine in the midfield, you're talking about who makes the pass into the attacker who often is getting the assist, because a lot of times it's the forwards getting the assists themselves. Who's getting that ball into them? I'm going to bring up someone. You're going to hate it, but I used to be a big, one of the things I really liked about Fred, where he was very underrated, is that he actually had insane pre-assist numbers. Crazy, I know. People make fun of it, the idea of even bringing up this pre-assist number, but I actually think it's a nice number. I actually quite like it. I think that if you're going to have midfielders who are in the more like box-to-box and aggressive range, pre-assists is important. Yeah, assist the assister. Like, let's say you attack into the final third, and you're the guy sending the ball through to the attacking wingback, through the lines, and then the attacking wingback is hitting it across for a tap-in. Which pass is more important? Both, equally. But only one is an assist. But who's hitting that pass? That pass matters. That's one of the toughest, it's one of the most important passes in football. Who's hitting that pass through to the cutback? Who's hitting that pass through into the cross? Who's hitting that pass over to that? Those are important. Those are important passes. Really important. That's why I like pre-assists. Michael Carrick, the greatest pre-assister in the history of football. Yeah. And he was so fundamental because he would get the ball to the spot it needed to be for someone else to smash it across the box or smash it to another player or pass it to somebody else. It's an important stat. So my point is, I think you can be good at that. Kabi's only good at 4 out of the 15 categories. No. I don't think that that's true. Because not all of these are like necessarily you need to be at the top, right? He's good at dueling. He's good at key playmaking in the final third, and he's good at dribbling, okay? That's all I want. That's what I want from him. Do the simple things. I don't need him to be crazy passing the ball. I don't need him to be doing other stuff insanely well. I just need him to do the basics. I need him to do the basics, and I need him to help get the ball to the forward. So in the breakdown of the video of the game against Fulham, one of the things that bothered me a lot, like I said, was that Bruno was often going for the assist, not just passing it to the guy who could create the play, right? Or just going straight backwards. And he has very little ability to go in between. Either he feels like he's got to be the guy hitting it into the box for the goal, or he just recycles it. I want that midfielder, that 8 in this system, because you have 5 forwards in front of him, 5 with the wing backs up. I want the guy to pass it to the forwards so that they can get the assist. That's what you want out of the 8. In fact, the 8 shouldn't have that many assists. It should be the forwards. If the 8 is doing their job, they're just getting the ball to a forward for the forwards to make plays out of it. Yeah, like Cruz. Yeah, exactly. It's not a 10. It is a playmaker. Kabi is a playmaker. And he should be partnered with Manuel Ugarte, who has very good defensive statistics, even though people don't like it. He does. And he covers ground really well. But what I would do, and I want to talk about this really briefly. All right? Because Mainoo is perfect for this thing, and I've talked about it before. But what I want, and I'm going to say something that anyway, this is what I want, okay? I'm gonna tell you, okay? And this is where I think Kabi Mainoo can be even better in this system and can work. And I've been thinking about this a lot and having a few talks with people about certain things and stuff too. And this is where I think it could get really good for Kabi Mainoo, okay? The thing I don't like, what is Ugarte's problem? I shouldn't have asked that question. What is the thing where Ugarte tends to make mistakes? And I think where we're getting it wrong. And where Ruben is using him wrong as well, okay? And I've said this before because I have a certain type of midfielder I like that is like Fred. And there's one thing I would never be asking them to do. There's one thing I would never, ever be asking them to do, right? I don't want, because it seems unnecessary, why are we making Ugarte be the guy who drops deep and receives the ball from a deep position? Okay? Why? That's not his strength. That's not what he's good at. In fact, it's not what Bruno's good at either, but Bruno does it anyway. Okay? It's when he's playing deep that on the ball, when Ugarte plays deep on the ball, that's actually where the mistakes are. He shouldn't be the guy on the ball deep anyway. It should be Kabi Mainoo. Kabi Mainoo should be the guy picking it off the back line, receiving the pass with pressure on his back, turning it around, and getting it to the right people. Kabi Mainoo should be the shuttler from deep. True or not? He should be the shuttler from deep in possession, in building it up. That's what he should be doing. When they're paired together, that's what happens. When they play together, that's what goes on. When they play together, Kabi Mainoo is usually the one picking it up from deeper. You watch like the Liverpool game and stuff, you'll see it. Like usually it's like Kabi is in those areas picking it up, getting it out of pressure and dribbling and moving. Out of possession, you have 3 center backs. You have the central center back to step up as a 6. Yeah, he receives it better exactly. He receives it very, very well. Then they both can just press up the pitch. They both can just press up the pitch, and that's what they should do. Pressing and winning it high. One of his first games against Everton, he was doing that. Yes. Yeah, Bruno does the same. Casemiro doesn't drop to get the ball, right? So that should be the same dynamic with Kobe and Ugarte. But for whatever reason, when we play Ugarte in there, he keeps being asked to be the guy picking the ball up off the back line. Why are we doing that? Where Ugarte is actually good, and he just is. You can say there's nowhere, but he is. Where Ugarte is actually good, seemingly, again, this kind of thing of misprofiling these players, is actually in more of a free role, tackling players, putting pressure, and getting around. And that actually makes the perfect partnership for the two of them. Kobe can be more the conductor from deeper, picking the ball up off the back line and moving it. Now, when they play together, that's actually what happens. When they play together, that is actually what happens, right? That's actually what goes on. Funnily, when Casemiro and Ugarte play together, that's also what happens. Casemiro becomes the conductor, right? He kind of sits a little bit more from deep, moves it around, and Ugarte kind of roams free. Do you remember the Bilbao away, right? Remember Bilbao away? Ugarte ends up with 2 assists in that game. He had a bit of a rough start, but he ends up with 2 assists in that game, and one of them being the back heel through to Bruno for a goal, because he's playing right behind the front 3, right? And he's counter-pressing, and he's winning the ball high, and he's passing it off to the other players. And Casemiro was kind of sitting deep and shuttling and moving the ball around and being sort of the conductor. That's why that partnership works. That's why that partnership was successful. That's why that happened. That's why that was able to do anything. Well, that can be Kobe and Ugarte. The problem is what it can't be is Bruno and Mainoo. Because in theory it would work, but if you're asking me to believe that when Bruno is in the midfield, he won't be dropping deep to receive the ball, and it'll be Kobe instead, I won't believe you. All that's going to happen is Kobe's going to drop deep to get the ball, and Bruno's going to drop deep too, and it's going to imbalance the team. And I think that's why they can't play together. Unfortunately, without Bruno in the 10. I think that's why he won't partner them, which is understandable, but it continues to be a bit of the Bruno problem. If you make Bruno drop deep and receive it, he's actually worse at it than Kobe is at building from the back in that sense. And then Kobe ends up being very uninfluential, and then you get like this thing of Kobe being like invisible, because then you're asking Kobe to do things that are not necessarily his strength. You know, like when he played in the 10, I didn't like it last year because, you know, he was being asked to do some different things, and he was not in the game because he's good. The thing with Kobe is he's very good in the attack. He's very good in a couple phases, right? He's very good in a few phases. And one of them is in the attack. Like when you can get settled around, he's not necessarily good as one of the 10s, but he's really good. And I covered this in last week's video. He's really good at running into the spaces in between and making these very like clever runs in and providing the right overloads. But he's also very good in the first thing. And it's like he can do a lot, but you've got to support him to do it. But I know why he's not playing Bruno and Kobe together. I know why. Saying it now, if we got Baleba and play Bruno next to him, everyone will be saying Baleba shit in a couple of weeks. The thing, the bigger problem with that is not that Baleba would be crap. If Baleba was here in this game doing exactly what Casemiro did in this moment, nothing would have changed. Nothing. Pogba was good with the pre-assist, hence Bruno thrive. Yeah. If Baleba was in here, he would Mount and Mainoo. I don't think Mount is good enough. I don't think Mount's the right guy deep. He doesn't have good ground coverage. I think you're weakening Mount. What Mount's really good is doing these things, moving from in to out and finding all these pockets. But when you're asking him to play in a 2, then I think he's not good at covering long, big distances. He's not good at covering big distances. He's good at covering small distances, small space. He's a small space player. That's really what he is. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get it right and we start winning games. That's all. I don't know, man. We just have to start winning games. We just have to start winning games. But Lammens should happen. A lot of optimism on that getting done shortly. We're in talks. It's been a little slowed down by Galatasaray. Hojlund's exit looks like it's nearing. Anthony, Sancho, I don't know. Garnacho. Wait, somebody said something to me. What did they say? Anthony, some people think is going to get done. I'm wary of that, but Anthony thinks going to get done on a loan to buy. That's the feeling, is that it'll get done on a loan to buy. There's actually, it's crazy how this goes, but there's almost more doubt on Garnacho because I think that the club are kind of prepared to hold out on that price. They might be sending a message here. I mean, if Hojlund looks like it's happening, Anthony seems like there's actually decent progress on there. Sancho and Garnacho, I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. Maybe we send a message. Maybe we're sending a message to Garnacho. I answered the Mount Mainoo a second ago. I answered that. Yeah, maybe sending a message to Garnacho. Can't say I'm not against it, but I've said before, I feel like Chelsea are playing him. Like, we're in the last 5 days of the window. There's 4 more days. And they still aren't even like, they're like, when are they going to get him? When are they going to get him? Are they actually going to get him? Like, that's crazy. I don't know, man. I've said before, I feel like they're playing him and he's going to end up stuck on September 1st and then end up getting loaned to Turkey. Sancho, too. Sancho's telling clubs he wants to wait. Like, he thinks he's going to get some club come in. I think these guys are all going to get loaned to Turkey in September. I don't know. Certainly, I don't think they're going to be in the team. Sancho looks more difficult. Yeah, Sancho, man. Agreed with you on that, Iwit, 100%. That's my biggest complaint. But people are mad specifically about Kobe not playing. I understand it. I actually understand it. And I think that it's okay, and I get that. And I want Kobe to play, and I want him to be the future, and I think he will be. But we need to start winning some football games. Look, if we don't win football games soon, Ruben Amorim won't be here. That's the truth. We all know that. Nobody's silly about that. Nobody's naive about that. But I'm not doing the player versus manager thing on that. I'm not going to get into that. That should never be the discussion. That we need to leave that in the past. The manager needs to win football games however they can win football games. If he's not winning, then he's not doing his job. If he's winning, then it doesn't matter how, frankly, if he's winning. That's why it's not important to me to get into that. We will have many instances in the future, even when we're successful, where there will be players that fans have as favorites that aren't wanted by the manager. It's going to happen. It's happened in the past, and it'll happen in the future. We just have to win games, man. That's what we all need. And if we win games, that all calms down. And it should. And it should. But it shouldn't be turned into a versus pitting against each other, especially given the fact that, like, look, like the truth of what's actually going on while everybody's like waffling around on all of this drama is that Mainoo is there in training every game, every day. He's there with Ruben Amorim. He was there today training and preparing for tomorrow's game. And probably getting prepared to start, you know? If you knew today, I think if you knew today that after Kabi not playing in the first 2 games, he would start against Grimsby, get subbed at the weekend, and get subbed in the next few games, and we would win Grimsby, Burnley, and one of the games of City or Chelsea, I think everybody would be happy. I think at the moment, a lot of the agitation is that, 1, we haven't won a game. 2, you feel like he's not going to play because he hasn't. And it's like, well, if he hasn't played in those 2, that he's not going to play in the future. I don't think that's true, but that's kind of, I think, how people feel. Are you more or less confident on Ruben since the start of the season? What are your honest thoughts? Will he succeed? I'm a little less confident, but I'm trying to be balanced on it because there's 2 things that I see, okay? And again, if we go back to the tactical video, this is what I want to say. I'm more confident in his system, actually. That's the ironic part compared to what most people are at. I'm more confident in his system. I'm less confident in his choices for that system that he could be making with the personnel he has available. Okay? Because like of this, and if you go through this video, you'll see it a ton of times. There's an enormous amount of stuff that is actually working, and I really recommend it, with his system. But where he's failing, that surprises me, where he's failing, even just after 2 games, where he's failing, is picking the wrong people and being too slow to change it. I know it's only 2 games in. Maybe he just wants to play players into shape. Fine, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We don't have enough wins and you don't have enough history to do that. These games are, I can say it's his first season, which I said earlier, right? But obviously, I know we lost a lot of games last season. Obviously, I know that. Obviously, I know as a fan in general, we've been crap for 2 years in a row now. The 2 worst seasons I've ever seen, right? We've been crap. Of course. Of course. So even if I say it's his first season, not winning still feels terrible right now. For me, for the fans, for everybody. I was pissed about a draw. I've never been pissed about a 1-1 draw in the second game as much as I was on Sunday. You understand that? Like, I've never been that mad about a draw. On the second game of the season, to be mad about a draw away, I've never been that mad. I was mad because it's built up frustration for such a long time. Because we've been bad for so long, you know? If we didn't have such a bad time, then picking the same players and trying to get through making them work would be okay. But I've seen Casemiro. I have a bigger problem with Casemiro than Bruno because Bruno had a really bad game. When it comes to Amorim, Bruno had a really bad game. Obviously, Bruno has the history. obviously Bruno has the history of production where it's justifiable or understandable to say things. You know what I mean? It's justifiable, it's understandable to say he should be playing and just try to get him into learning and playing the system well. Casemiro has no history for me. There's no sitting there and going, well, Casemiro will be fine. Casemiro should be playing. He has no history at United. His history is at Real Madrid. He had 3 good months before his legs gave out, and that was almost 2 years ago. That's the one that really bothers me more than anything, and that has me less confident in Ruben Amorim. I think his system is implementing well. I think that the new players are actually getting it. I think the wingbacks are getting it. I think he's playing aggressive. I think the center backs are getting it. I think they're all getting it. Bruno, I understand there's a history there and it's hard to let go, and that he's been very productive. I get it. If you're trying to just play him into form because of what you think he can do. I can get it, even though right now I have my doubts about it. Casemiro makes no sense to me. That's the one where I go, Because I am positive, without a doubt, like, I think Mainoo could do better there. I'm certain Mainoo could do better there, and I'm certain Ugarte could do better there. I'm certain of it. And yeah, and so it just doesn't make any sense to me. There's no past to justify it, and it is a literal matter of age, energy, and legs. It just doesn't. There's just nothing there. There's no reason for it. That's the one that has me lose more confidence. The Bruno one, what bothers me is that he didn't sub him. I get starting him in both games. What bothers me is that he didn't sub him for Kobbie Mainoo. And what bothers me is that he's picking Casemiro every game. It doesn't make sense to me. I think Casemiro could still be a sub. 30 minutes, get on, bodies in the box. That's a sub. That's what you use a player as a sub for, not as a starter for. So it's a mixture of more and less. More in the system based on what I've seen, because I can see exactly what the advantages it's supposed to provide are, and that they're not executing it, and that's a player problem. Less in the player selection and in-game adjustment aspect. I think he's gotten that wrong in the 2 games so far. So that's what I've got. And I don't really care if people say, like, I get that like Mainoo isn't a good defender and Ugarte's struggling with the basics. Fine. Casemiro's worse at all of them. Casemiro's not defending. He's not tackling anybody. He's not covering ground. He's not covering space, and he's not completing passes. And he can't dribble. He's not doing the basics or anything else. So it doesn't really matter to me. It's a nothing. I'm not there. I'm not going to sit there like people did last season. And like, I think people are fooled by certain things. Like, I take that Lyon game last year, the comeback win, right? I get it. Casemiro draws the penalty, gets the cross in that wins us the game, right? Does that. Cool. Great. What about the other 110 minutes? It was one of the worst performances I've seen. One of the reasons we ended up needing to be bailed out is because of his poor play in the 6 before that. We conceded 2 goals while we were up a man while he was on the pitch as the number 6. What? We had a 2-goal lead. He was the number 6 in that game and lost it and conceded 4 goals. Like, what about the rest of it? I'm not fooled by, I don't care if he had 3 assists or 2 or whatever. I don't care. Because he was bad the rest of the game, but that's Casemiro. He's a payoff player. He's a moments player because he can't actually play consistently over the course of a game. He's a moments player. But you look bad the rest of that time. And so you're hoping, and you can get astounded by the moments. But We want consistency. I don't want moments, man. I'm so tired of moments. If we were building a moments team, we got rid of the wrong players. We've got rid of the wrong players. You know, I mean, that was the biggest complaint people had about Rashford, is a moments player. Well, yeah, he was probably the best moments player we've had. He's not here anymore. I don't want moments. I want just do the basics and consistency, you know? And yeah, Bruno, I feel, is a bit of the same thing. I think Bruno's a bit of the same thing. I don't want moments, man. I don't want to rely on those moments. It's the same reason I said I thought it was correct when we sold Scott McTominay. I still think it is. Because for us, in how we played, McTominay was a moments player, and he'd had some really good moments. But as a midfielder, in the rest of the game, it didn't do anything for us, and it didn't let us succeed. He didn't help us as much as he could have. So it's just a different way of viewing it. I think Casemiro, you'll get the highlight pass, like you'll see against Arsenal, where it's like he'll make the highlight long ball out wide, the big switch out of the blue. Okay, but what about all the things you're losing throughout the rest of the game that you don't see, that you get fooled by those moments? Mainoo is not a moments player. I want him on the pitch. I mean, he's got good moments, don't get me wrong, but he is a consistent player. He's a consistent player. Scott could have been good if we used him as what he should have been probably used at. I would say he was misprofiled. So I hope we get it right. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Do we play tomorrow? We do, thank God. I'm tired of thank God there's a game tomorrow. Right? Is there a game tomorrow? It's tomorrow, right? Grimsby's tomorrow. I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of the discussion in between the games when we don't win. We have to start winning games. We win tomorrow. Obviously, it's just Grimsby, but we can't lose. Holy shit! If we lose, it's all over. But we win tomorrow. At least it settles things down. We've got a win on the board. Ideally, you get Mainoo plays and some other players play. Šeško gets going, gets off the mark. Then you go into Burnley and you win before the international break. The window ends and everything just will calm down. Even though we have tough games afterwards, it'll just calm down. But man, I just can't do this. We've got to win this game tomorrow, and we've got to win on Saturday. That's it at the end of it. I can't even fathom if we lose. Like, I'm a patient person, but we can't lose these games. These are like can't not win. The solution is simple. We need mids to keep it basic, smart passing to open play, leaving create. Exactly. You have 5 forwards. You have 5 forwards in the system. Let the 5 forwards do the work. Like, if it was a 4-3-3, you wouldn't be asking your 6 to be the playmaker, because you've got 2 attacking midfielders, or an 8 and a 10, and 3 forwards, and those are the guys doing all the creativity. Well, this system has those 5 guys. It's not the midfield. It's the forwards and the wing backs. We can't draw to Grimsby. We have to beat Grimsby or we get knocked out. It's win or lose. It's win or die. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Casemiro and Bruno are Ten Hag's McTominay. Yes, well, I had a big complaint, and again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. I had a big complaint about Ten Hag, which was that I felt like he played players in order to hope that they would get that moment instead of playing the best team. I really hope Amorim isn't falling into that trap, because that will kill us, unfortunately. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. I'll see you later. Have a good one. Good luck. I'll be back something in the morning and then for the watch along tomorrow, okay? Enjoy the rest of your evening.